Close Aaron Nagler answered questions in a Facebook Live chat with fans after the Green Bay Packers' 3,128 loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday night, November 26, 2017. Aaron Nagler, USA Today Network. Wisconsin-Pittsburgh. If there's an empty word in the NFL, sort of like if the Green Bay Packers used a gaudy performance in a heartbreaking 3,128 defeat to the Pittsburgh Steelers to muster 5 straight victories to close the season, they can finish 106 and still have a chance at the playoffs. Sure, it could happen, but the reality is the season is over. It ended with Chris Boswell's 53-yard field at the end of regulation crushing the Packers' hopes of winning on the road as 14-point underdogs and putting them hopelessly behind their competition in the NFC. You could argue that if they beat Tampa Bay at home next week, and if they win at Cleveland the week after, and if they beat 3 teams, Carolina, Minnesota and Detroit, with a combined 2,310 record after that, they might have an outside shot at the playoffs. But you might as well take the lessons from the 3-point loss to the 92 Steelers and apply them to the rest of this season, because just as their margin for error was nil against the Steelers, it is the same for finishing the year undefeated. Any given Sunday, anything can happen, veteran linebacker Ahmed Brooks said. We just don't control our destiny. We're not in the driver's seat. As long as we keep winning, hopefully we can squeeze into the playoffs. We just have to keep this thing rolling. Dirty playoff hopes on the ropes inside. A thumbs up to Hundley. Receivers box score: Steelers 31, Packers 28. The problem with ifs is that they're not any good unless they go your way, and that was definitely not the case Sunday night. Go ahead and play it out in your head. The Packers might be 65 if coach Mike McCarthy punts the ball instead of ordering Mason Crosby to attempt a 57-yard field goal, which he misses badly, setting up the Steelers in prime field position for a game-tying touchdown late in the third quarter. Steelers linebacker T.J. Watt gets called for a helmet hit on quarterback Brett Hundley with 1 minute, 20 seconds left and the Packers on their own 18-yard line, practically guaranteeing the Steelers never see the ball again in regulation. Antonio Brown's right foot lands another inch further toward the sideline, turning his miraculous reception into an incompletion, forcing the Steelers to go to overtime. Boswell's 53-yard field goal attempt with no time left catches the wind that blew his earlier extra point wide left, resulting in the game going to overtime. None of those things happened, and so the Packers flew home, having lost ground to the competition despite the backup quarterback playing the best game of his life and the defense causing offensive stars Ben Roethlisberger and Le'Veon Bell to turn over the ball a combined 3 times. If this were 2010 and the Packers had just lost to the New England Patriots, things might be a little different. For one, quarterback-related offense finds rhythm in loss-related. King must learn from failures. Notes McCarthy defends decision on FG5 takeaways early. Capsule game review: Aaron Rodgers would be returning next week, making everyone feel there was a chance to run the table. But back then the Packers were 86 and still in the running for the playoffs. Right now, they are tied with the Arizona Cardinals for 9th place in the NFC playoff race. Somehow, they would have to jump the New Orleans Saints, Carolina Panthers 83, Seattle Seahawks and Atlanta Falcons 74 and Detroit Lions 65 in the next 5 weeks. 2 of the 3 final games are on the road: Carolina on December 17th and Detroit on deck 31, even if Rodgers were to come back for, say, the Vikings game on deck 23, and the Packers were to win the final 2 games, it's questionable whether 10 victories would be enough to make the playoffs. Not in a year when one team, Philadelphia, is already at 10, and 3 others are within 2 games, with one of those 3 teams, Saints, holding a tiebreaker and the other, Panthers, playing host to the Packers on deck 17, and the fact of the matter is they just lost. The best wasn't good enough to beat the Steelers, even if it did make a statement to McCarthy about the grit of his football team. He can be proud about that. I just can't say enough about our football team coming in here, McCarthy said. They're doing all the right things. They're working their asses off. The preparation was excellent all the way up until the final moment. We hit the target on the focus of how we wanted to play the game. It's the first time that McCarthy has been able to say anything of the sort since Rodgers went down with a broken collarbone in Week 6. but it needed to be said after the New Orleans game or the Detroit game or even last week after the Baltimore game. Packers chat Ryan Wood, noon Monday. Nigla Facebook Live post-game chat. Game blog review. Silverstein's live coverage. NFL scoreboard standings. To Packers easily could have beaten the Ravens if Hundley had played against them the way he played against the Steelers. He played it safe Sunday while at the same time sticking with his reads and completing 17 of 26 passes for 245 yards and 3 touchdowns, 134.3 passer rating. McCarthy smartly structured the game plan around running back Jamal Williams, who touched the ball 25 times, carrying 21 times for 66 yards and a touchdown and catching 4 passes for 69 yards and a touchdown. The defense gave up 462 yards, including Roethlisberger's 351 passing and 4 touchdowns, but made a game of it with 3 forced turnovers. Special teams was once again a negative, with penalties making a crucial difference in the final outcome. It was an inspired performance for a team that had lost 4 of its last 5 games, but it stands alone and might not mean a lot moving forward. Who's to say Hundley will play this well the rest of the season, or the defense will continue to force turnovers? It's possible it was one last rally before all their energy was spent. I don't see it as shooting our last shot, guard Jerry Evans said. We executed our game plan and we just fell short. We ran out of time. We can continue to get better. There's things we need to work on and we'll address them. We're professionals and we need to get better every day. The biggest challenge McCarthy faces is keeping his team from thinking this was its parting shot of the 2017 season and keeping it playing as though there is something left for which to play. Realistically, there isn't, but McCarthy can continue to learn a lot about this team in the final 5 weeks of the season. I don't question one person in this locker room isn't confident, safety Morgan Burnett said. If they weren't, they wouldn't be here. The record says 56, but it's not over. We can't get caught up about where we stand.